Hi guys, this is chapter 1 and we are on part 2 of chapter 1, lesson 1. Okay, so we're going to learn about brightening an image, getting into the graphics, getting into the fun stuff. So in the layers panel on the right side of the workspace, make sure the rose layer is selected. So the learn part we're not going to use right now. We're going to come down to layers and you can see this is the layers panel. So all of these options are for um, our image for the layers. And we are in the layers panel. We know we are in the rose layer. If we were here, it would be highlighted if we were in the ribbons layer, but now we're in the rose layer. So we're going to be in the rose layer. And I'm on number 1 on page 16. And we're going to move on to number 2 on page 17. It says in the adjustments panel, which is above the layers panel in the panels dock, click the brightness contrast icon. So here's your adjustments panel. And if you hover over these different things, it will tell you what they are. So we're going to come over to the brightness contrast icon to add a brightness contrast adjustment layer. And there's our new adjustment layer. The properties panel opens displaying the brightness contrast settings. In the property panel, move the brightness slider to 98%. So you can move it like this, or you can actually type it, 98, and the contrast to 18. You can see how it changes your image. See your image slightly changing? Okay, the image of the rose will brighten. And then you can make this a little bit smaller. So in the layers panel, click the eye icon for the brightness contrast adjustment layer to hide it. So watch what happens. We're hiding that adjustment that we just made. So you can make it visible or you can hide it. We have it hidden. Okay, so moving on, I'm on page 18, number 5, double click the properties panel tab to collapse it, which we already did. You guys saw how I did that when I just hit that arrow. We're going to go to choose file and save the image. We've already saved as. That was our first step, one of our first steps in part 1. But now I'm just going to hit save because it's already saved as the working PSD. We saved that together earlier in the first video. Moving down on sampling a color on page 18, it says in the layers panel, click the visibility column, the ribbons layer to make it active. So first I'm going to show this again, show that, and then I'm going to scroll up, and there's your ribbons layer, and I'm going to click the visibility icon right here, which is the eye icon, and now we can see this layer here. Select the ribbons layer. We already did that. Oh, no, I didn't do that. Okay, select it. And then in the tool panel, you're going to select the eyedropper. So here's the eyedropper. Go ahead and click on it to make it active. And then click the blue area and the happy birthday ribbon to sample a color. Now watch what happens. This is your foreground color and this is your background color. Okay? And then we're going to click on this and look what happens to your foreground color. You can click anywhere and that will change based on what you select. So we're going to click here for happy birthday, and now we have that selected. Foreground color changes in the panel and the color panel. Anything you draw will now be in this color. So now we're going to select the zoom tool. And then we're going to zoom in. Click the zoom tool and zoom in so you can clearly see the lower third of the card right here. This is the lower third. You can scroll down. Select the rectangle marquee tool. So these are right here is your rectangle marquee tool, and I want you to watch what happens. If I click and hold this option, these are just one moment. So I'm clicking and holding, and these are all of our different marquee tools. So moving on to page 20, at the very top, it says drag a rectangle marquee tool to create a selection about 3/4 of an inch tall and 2.5 inches wide, ending at the right edge of the card. As you drag the tool, Photoshop displays the width and height of the selected area up here. So we'll try that again. I'm gonna hit Control D to deselect. And then what I want you to do is watch the measurements as I drag. And remember that your measurements need to be 3/4 inches tall and 2 1/4 inches wide. So I'm going to click on here. So, and I can make it a little bit smaller to make it the height 3/4 of an inch, which would be 0.75. And then the width is 2.5. So I can actually come outside back here, and I'm not quite 2.5, but that's okay. So, or you can just try it again. So let's try it again. That's a little bit closer to what it's supposed to look like. All right. So step number 4, it says select the brush tool in the tool panel right here. In the image window, right-click anywhere in the image to open up the brush menu. So I'm going to right-click with my mouse and then select the first brush, soft round, and change the size to 65. So if you go to General Brushes, this is your first brush, soft round, and then the size right here needs to be 65. Okay? Click anywhere outside of the selection to close the tool panel, or to close that little panel that came up. Click anywhere. Okay, so drag the cursor across the selected area until it's fully painted. Don't worry about staying within the selection because you made the selection. You can't go outside of it. So we're going to go ahead and paint that thoroughly. There we go. Okay. When the bar is colored in, you're going to choose Select at the top and Deselect so that nothing is selected. Position the pointer over the third tool from the top until the tooltip appears. And what it really wants us to do is grab this little lasso tool here. Okay, the shortcut for the lasso tool is the L on your keyboard. So let's get that lasso tool. Okay, so we're going to click and hold, and we're going to grab this polygon lasso tool. I'm holding down with my mouse to get these options. So you click and hold, and you got the polygon lasso tool. When I say hold, that means I'm holding the mouse button down. Let me go over that again because some people get confused with that. There's your regular lasso tool. You're going to click it to select it. Then, see that little arrow? That means there's additional tools underneath there that are related to this top tool. So if you click and hold your mouse button down and then come over here, I'm still holding my mouse button until you get the polygon lasso tool. Okay? Then you're going to press and hold Alt on your keyboard. And we're going to just make a selection by clicking once. I'm going to click once again, and then come back until I get the little O. That means that I can connect these points. I'm still holding Alt, and then I'm going to let go. Okay. All right, we're moving on. I'm on page 22 at the very top of this top. So right now we have one part of this entire image selected, and it's on this ribbon layer, and it's part of this little blue stripe that we created. This is the only thing that I can alter in this entire image because it's selected. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit delete, and I've just gotten rid of that part of the ribbon. Now we're going to deselect this. You can go to select, deselect, or you can hit Control D on your keyboard, Control D, and that will deselect that part of the ribbon or that selection. Okay, so we're ready to move on. In the tool panel, you're going to select the horizontal type tool right here. In the options bar, select the font you like from the first pop-up menu. So right now I have brush script selected. Looks like it's taken a second for my font to come up. Whoops. Okay, so you can select any of the different fonts that you like. The book uses Minion Pro Italic. So let's see if I can find Minion Pro Italic. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to use the mouse button and scroll down. Everything's in alphabetical order. Minion Pro Italic. There's Minion Pro. So we'll click that. And then over here, instead of bold, we're going to choose italic. Okay. The book wants you to use a size of 32. So highlight that, type 32. You can hit enter after you do that. Okay. And then number 4, it says click once anywhere on the left side of the colored bar and type the word Elaine. Well, here's the problem if we do that. If I start typing here, so the problem is when you guys start to type, you're not going to actually be able to see what it is that you're typing because our font is going to be blue. But I'm going to go ahead and click, okay? And then we're going to type the name Elaine, okay? And then we're going to click and drag the word that we typed, click the foreground color, and we're going to make that white. The other way of making it white is to click on your swatches, white, hit OK, and then click on your move tool. You've got the word Elaine. We're going to drag it to the middle right here, and there we go. So the next thing we're going to talk about is your swatches panel. I'm going to go back to your type tool. Your swatches panel may not be showing. So if it's not showing, it could look like this, okay? And if it's looking like this, you're fine. You guys can see that there's lots of different views of your swatches panel. But if your swatches panel is just completely not showing, what you need to do is you need to go to Window and come down here to Swatches and click it so that it's showing. Okay? What I want you to do is go back and click on your type tool. You're going to click, hold your mouse down. Whoops, you guys can see that I just made a new. This will happen every once in a while. I just made a new text box. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. I'm going to go over to my layers, and I have a new layer here for Elaine. We did that earlier. And then I have this new blank layer. That's the new text box that I just made. So I am going to delete it. I clicked and hold with my mouse. I'm going to drag and delete that new text box. So these are the only layers that you should have. Let's minimize that. And now watch what happens to my cursor. See, there's a box. That means I'm going to make a text box. But if I hover over to where it says Elaine, I'm in the side of this text box. I can click and hold my mouse and drag it. Now I'm going to go back to swatches. And we're going to click on a light yellowish color. It's kind of up to you what color of yellow. You can be a little bit creative if you want. It's going to change with the different ones. Okay. And then we're going to hit commit, this button here. This means that we're going to commit those changes, and that's what it looks like. Number 6 at the top of page 25, it says click the menu button on the swatches panel to open the panel menu. And make sure that you know what list you're in. We're in small list, and that's where we should be. Okay. Moving on. I'm going to do one more thing in the menu area. We're going to click on here, and now we're going to go down to small list. And now we've got a list. We're going to grab that type tool again, select the word Elaine, scroll down till we find a nice bright yellow color, select it, and then hit commit. So that's what we're going to do for now. If you can change it to any color you want, your word, and then I will start again on a third video.